I tell you our story, of course. Come on, a long roast, just try to shorten it as much as possible, and I hope to show it to the followers. The beginning of my grandfather, God has mercy on him and forgives him of the very nervous type, of course. My father, the eldest of his brothers, was my grandfather for what he is nervous about. Hitting Papa. This is the words of my grandmother. God has mercy on her, and I have not forgotten her story to us, and what happened with Papa. She says the day Baba came home from school, he was on average asleep in healthy Morocco at that time. My grandfather was fanatical from my grandmother and beat her, and Baba came to defend her, so he hit him with a wire. Of course, their days are popular houses. Papa went out to the monsters of the house and sat crying in the corner of the monsters and in the darkness. My grandmother, about 2 hours after her speech, entered the house, but before he did not enter, she said his lip as he was looking at the roof. When he entered along the bathroom palm, she says Mo came out of him normal, his eyes open once and blushing and not talking. I tried to talk to him and he didn't answer. I called his brothers and he was talking to them in a fearful way and he didn't answer. And my grandfather was trying with him, which, of course, my grandfather got nervous and beat him, and when he hit him, a door sat looking at him and I didn't move a simple movement. On her words, after how many blows from my grandfather, he shouted a strong shout saying feel their eardrums from the power of the scream burst, and then he was knocked unconscious. She says that when a healthy person says that from the time he was in Al-Hash, he was cured of the inviolability above the surface, it was a form of fear, and when Allah entered the bathroom, he comforted you. He cured the same inviolability with mirrors. Of course, it is a salvation that I entered into. They tried to treat him and the sheikh himself said this to them as a result of the session and cried in the dark, and I didn't get out of it and sat down with him. Alan grew up and got married. Of course, we are a family from a young age. We have suffered a natural injury, and many events have happened to us because of this sanctity. It is hell positions. Once I healed my brother without a head, and once Papa healed his neck for a long time, and once someone kept walking by the bathroom, and once alone I was talking to me in the mirrors and I was ironing and many situations for me and my sisters. The important day of Ramadan, Mama said that I call Baba for sewer. He was sitting on the floor and surrounded a pillow on his legs, and the Quran is above the pillow, and God Almighty, as what I am saying means what I am afraid of the Quran, and I am not afraid that he is reading the important thing. So I asked him to call his lip to me in a way of fear and shake, and I talked to Mama and sat down with him, Ellen, almost at dawn and came out of it, and I'm not enchanted then because of her, and my uncles have been treating Papa from time to time, and on the day of my uncles, they walked around a sheikh and sat reading on him. She shouted and asked with her voice, which for the first time we all hear it, and at that time I was years old and I never forget her voice, which scares and does not speak, and we all hear how she speaks, and the sheikh conversed after what he tried to. I love him and I hate him and I don't want to get out of him. Even if I get out of him, what am I going to do to them? And support him by sending them someone from me. And actually, because it's all she was getting into daddy. She tries to be stubborn, Mama tries to scare her with her looks, but God willing, Mama was strong, and she sits looking at her and says, "Oh, me, you were sitting, you were floating, and coming out of it and fainting. My Lord testifies to every letter I have told you. Currently, my brother and I are still hurting, even though we grew up and got married and left behind. They hurt us from time to time. The closest my ears hurt was 2 weeks ago. It is true that she came out of Baba, with my uncles and the sheikh continuing to treat it, but my brothers and I in terms of intimidating voices, and we've been showing them a lot less before, but they're still there, and my other sister stood up for them hurt. So as a piece of advice from your sister, your relatives, pay attention to them if they cry. Don't let them cry in the dark and in the bathroom. Try as much as possible to protect yourself and your family. I sometimes forget that I am fortifying myself and my consciousness. So, I doing simple things together like what I said. Hide from the first ones that are not easy to exist. So remember Allah along with your tongue. Finally, I hope you liked the story. Anyone who has a real story that happened to him leaves it in a comment that we will publish in a video in the coming days. Bye bye.